officially, I'm calling this meeting to order.
Where's the gavel?
Meeting in session.
Mhm.
Okay, first approve any minutes from last meetings. I have Katie's minutes from last time, and we already talked about a couple minor edits. And one of them being that she had on there that the library project for
The kayaks.
the kayak slots, she had that we were going to look into that more, but I thought that we had approved that, being that they were going to take care of insurance and all of the details that go along with that.
Yep.
So we approved them having 2 slots, like the library having 2 slots and doing kayak rentals for next year.
Oh,
Is that how you remember it, Joanne?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
That is how I remember it. Yep.
Okay, okay. So then then all the minutes looked great. So thank you, Katie, for
Yep.
that.
I'll submit them to Terry tomorrow.
Okay. And then I have Johanna's minutes from the last time we met with Nick at the beach. And those looked really good. And I didn't have any edits.
Great.
I just reformatted them.
Okay.
And then I saw that at the end of the minutes, we indeed talked about the beach sign needing to be moved and the signpost needing to be replaced, and we wanted it to be painted white. So, and that was at the beach, our meeting at the beach. So I think that confirms that the town beach sign was there.
It was there then.
Mystery. And so that was from April 24th.
So somewhere after that, it went missing.
So I approve those minutes and I can submit those. And then I had some notes that you had sent to Nick, Johanna.
Okay.
It's from the meeting January 30th, 2024. I don't know where that, I have to look up where that meeting was, but it was very, I had to do more filling and rearranging and
Some formatting.
editing
Mhm.
on that. So I can send that to you,
Okay.
but I'll approve these.
Okay.
It's basically, I just kind of cleaned it up.
Yeah, sure. Whatever you want to do.
So,
I trust you.
and it reminded me of some things that we had discussed too. So that was good. So those minutes, so we have minutes for 3 of the meetings that I think we can improve and get submitted. And I think we still have lots missing.
Well, I sent them all to Nick, so I just assumed he was going to post them when I
Yeah.
sent it to him.
I'll ask him because I went through the emails of what I had and
Yeah.
that's what I found.
So after every meeting, you do minutes, and then the next meeting, you have to approve the minutes, and then they get submitted.
But he
So
was
it's like a
the-
2-step. So after, even though they get sent to Nick, it's supposed to be agreed on the next meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'll blame that on Nick because that was his job.
There are like, to be fair, there's minutes missing from before Johanna came on. to our
Yeah.
circle.
I mean,
No
I
worries.
gave everything to Nick and I just assumed that he knew what to do with them, so.
Yeah. Okay, so next agenda item is hiring a seasonal parks/beach manager for 2025. And I'll let Johanna take the start of this because it was one of your items, which I also have some things to say about it, but go ahead.
Yeah, I think you had originally came up with the idea, and I didn't realize the need for it until being at the beaches a few times this summer. And, you know, when I'm there with my son, just hanging out, I saw a bunch of people trying to launch, you know, different watercraft while I was there. And, you know, I'd say, oh, hey, just so you know, we're not allowed to launch here, and this is why, the zebra mussel issue. And I directed them over to the boat launch. And in one instance, it got a little heated where the gentleman was very upset to have to take his paddleboard back up to the car and load it and then have to go across the water. And it kind of got in my face a little bit, and it was very uncomfortable. To the point where I had to say to him, do I need to contact the police? So, luckily he kind of backed off, but he was very upset. And then I was like, whoa, like, I can't be doing this. Like, I feel like there needs to be, I mean, as a woman, it was very uncomfortable to have that kind of confrontation. And I don't think the guy was from in town. And then there was one other instance where I said something, to somebody, because it's like, once you say something to one person, everybody's watching kind of, and then, I feel like if I'd said something to somebody before him and then, other people, it's like, well, I'm there now, I have to say something to everybody. And it's like, I just realized it's not a good position to be in, and I don't want to be like the bad guy. So I feel like having a beach manager, somebody who is there, just keeping an eye on stuff like that, and just, cleaning up the, like the dock, sometimes kids will put seaweed on it, and, I've had to talk to kids about that, and, so just somebody there that can be that person, so that, we can manage it, and that's their role, is, to be the beach manager. So anyway, that was my experience. And, that gets into another part of what we're gonna talk about later, about, maybe having, like the second guy I talked to, who wasn't too happy that I had told his son and his friends that they couldn't launch the paddleboard. He lives in town here. And at first he was upset about it, but then I just said, look, I'm just doing my job. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to single anyone out. I told 3 other people today. And we ended up having a very productive conversation after that. And he's been in town for a long time. And he said, maybe there's a way we can have somebody here doing the same inspections that they do over there, which could be another, part of a role for the beach manager, to have the ability to do the checks that they do at the boat launch for the zebra mussels. And he said another idea he gave, which I thought was pretty great, was having a self-cleaning station set up on the back, or maybe the side of the bathroom, the shed, where, because some of there's the zebra mussel pamphlet that you get when you go and get your boat inspected. It has a few approved cleaning solutions, one of them being vinegar, that cleans off the zebra mussel larvae or eggs on the bottom of the boat, or your paddleboard in this case. He said we could have like a self-cleaning station, and sort of do like a community police thing where, if there was something set up with a big sign, that people will be more apt to kind of get into a routine of doing that. And they'd probably feel a lot better about doing that than having to, like, somebody to say to them, hey, you can't launch your boat here, and then them get upset and everything. So I thought that was a great idea. So that's something we could talk about later. But if we did have a beach manager, that would be something that they could do. So anyway, that's all I'll say about that.
What would you think, like the timing, the days of the week? Because if you're open from dusk to dawn, are you looking for them to also do what the highway and water and Brenda does, and clean the bathrooms and do the goose poop? Because they already have that fixed into their schedule. They haven't missed a day ever.
Wow.
So if we hire a beach manager, we would probably have to hire 2, because it's 7 days a week from dusk to dawn. If we do hire one, highway and water would probably not fill in if they called out sick, because they would already have their schedule and their week's activities planned already. So if you are thinking about this and moving forward, we have to think that you probably need 2 to 3 people because of the number of hours at the beach.
I don't think it has to be full-time.
No,
I think that those people can, I think that there will be goose poop, because, sorry to interrupt.
no,
Do you have
no.
more to say?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So I talked to Michael, because the goose poop has been not only the goose poop, but what the geese are doing to the grass. It's been very obvious. And they pick up the poop in the morning, but the geese continue to poop all day. Right. And so, and it's not limited to just cleaning the bathrooms and cleaning up goose poop and regulating the canoe. I'm trying to open it right now, but there's so many things that could be done as a beach manager. I just opened it. Beach manager slash parks manager, right? And it doesn't have to, it could be like a seasonal part-time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out what direction.
I think like trying to hit those high points of when the beach is heavily used. As long as the weekends are covered, holidays. Yeah, I think that it could just be one person, honestly, and it would just be better than nothing. And then in terms of parking, because I've heard from a lot of people that the beach has been so crowded and there's been a lot of parties and there's been a lot of trash left on the beach. There's all this confetti, this like foil confetti all over the grass. There's been teenagers who have been getting into the bathrooms when they're not locked at night. So I think that we could like maybe regulate the parking lot a little bit more and do a resident parking with some stickers and some signage for next year. And then having somebody present that's an employee could really help with.
So
Thanks.
just to point out, the incidents that you're talking about that happened, all happened in the evening.
Right, but
So
why
unless
when
you're gonna
the,
have somebody there in like 5 through 8 o'clock at night,
yeah,
that is when those incidents have happened.
I think
So-
some of the job could be not, like, I think that if it is allowed, you could have some of the job be like, go back at 7 PM and lock the bathrooms, right? They don't have to be there, physically be there all the time. Some of it would be a little bit of on-call or like unusual times, like to just like, okay, you will have to make sure that you can, even if you're not there that day, lock the
Police
bathroom.
locking up the building at night.
Yeah.
I think it's more of just,
So did the teenagers just get in there right before the police got there to lock them?
the assumption is, yeah. So, they go up at various times. We actually ended up putting up the trail cam. And we have a camera that's
Yeah, wow.
hanging up there.
Oh, good.
Cool.
To try to, I don't know if it's still there, but we put it up after Brenda had come to us to say she had shown up. And obviously somewhere between when the crowd was there and in the evening before it got locked up, somebody had gone in and shoved toilet paper. At one point, somebody had dumped the soap on the
trash.
floor, so it was like a skating rink in there.
Yeah.
And that, and
And
those
she's-
things are but then we immediately, after those incidents happened, we began doing some additional enforcement and was
Okay.
looking at that. So stickers, like parking stickers and stuff in the evening, like I said, I don't think you're addressing.
Yeah,
when the
but
concern happened.
that could
But if you're-
address of overcrowding.
Parking.
No, but you didn't say that. You said,
I think I was
About
lumping
eating
too
and
many
stuff
things
and-
together.
yeah. so-
I understood what you said.
Yeah, so, obviously, if you guys would rather hire a beach manager in that, who they're under, what department, the rest, that would just be figured, would you want it a seasonal position under the highway department? Would you want just an independent position?
I think
And-
we could do it kind of like the lifeguards. And if it were only one person that we were managing, it's just tricky, like who do they go? I guess
Yeah.
you, maybe they would answer to, or us. We would be managing
All of
that
us.
person. Yeah. Or through the highway department. I think I'd be open to either, but. So yeah, I had on my list of possible responsibilities to manage the schedule of the lifeguards if we ever got lifeguards. Make sure the bathrooms are tidy and supplied throughout the day because we only have somebody in there in the mornings. And then, I don't know what happened with this latest flooding event. Do you know what happened with this latest,
No,
not flooding, but the leak that happened?
There's like a backup or something. I'm
Oh,
not-
I think I
and
put
Van
it out.
Zant went up there and.
Yeah, Van Zant, yeah.
Was it a toilet or sewage or toilet overflowed in the
Yeah.
bathroom?
Yeah,
And
Went into
toilet
the
water
basement.
went into the basement?
yeah, it had to be, it was cleaned up and fixed.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So then maybe if somebody were there, then that would be responded to quicker, just things like that. Keep the beach clean and raked of goose poop.
So
When the-
I think this goes back to Katie's. You are definitely looking at least 2 people and you're looking at least 4, you're looking at, and then you have a 7-day operation up there, so.
Well, I think what we can do is what we're doing, Where in the slower days, like the Monday through Wednesday or Thursday, we still have, the morning cleaner. We still have Brenda, we still have water department helping us out with the raking. But then we have like an extra boost to that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, holidays, right?
And Sunday, holidays.
Yeah, so then, once the weeds start getting really bad in the swimming area, somebody could rake them out. Parking lot, checking for passes. We could even make this person maybe, oh, well, I don't know, that seems more like it wouldn't be seasonal, never mind.
The only concern I have about that idea is that, I just wonder how many applications we'll get for somebody like that. Like, it's hard to find people, period. Like, I don't know why. It seems like, there's so many jobs available and people aren't going for them.
I mean, we'll just have to pay well, I guess.
Yeah, like I would say nowadays, like $20 an hour is probably the only thing that's gonna get people to
I mean,
motivate them.
that's what we
Living wage.
advertised the lifeguard positions at, and we didn't get anybody.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, I think it's more of a shortage of lifeguards than anything, because a lot of people are having that issue. So I don't know. I think $20 is a reasonable amount, it's a living wage for these days. So I think that's not so much an issue. I mean, we can certainly advertise for somebody, but there's a possibility we might not get anybody. So then that's why I was thinking, well, in terms of at least monitoring the zebra mussel situation from the beach, maybe a self-cleaning station would be at least something to have there to prevent, and contamination, but
I think we're taking liability as soon as we put a self-cleaning station there, then we're saying that like you can
It's just
you can put
vinegar.
your boat
How much should
in.
be launching boats there?
Yeah.
I know, but people are gonna do it if we don't have somebody monitoring, people are doing it all the time.
But if you have a
So-
beach manager there, then
Yeah,
that
I
person
think
will be
that
in
is the
charge
better
of having.
solution.
Beach manager, or you don't have kayaks, you don't have boat launch, period.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then-
well, the
then
signs are
it's easy
there.
to
There's not
enforce.
technically a
And
boat
then
launch there
there's
now,
also,
but
like-
people do it anyway,
Right,
is my
then you have
point.
people that takes their kayaks out that are on the racks to go elsewhere and then bring it back. and
No, well, that
stuff,
wouldn't
so.
have anything, the kayaks that are stored there with the permits have nothing to do with it. I'm just
Right.
saying that it'd be better to have something there, because if we don't have a beach manager, then people are gonna launch that, they do that, they've been launching.
I mean, there's other things that,
Regardless of the fact, there's who signed saying not to,
Yeah.
so,
We can put together a beach manager budget and you can propose it to the finance committee
yeah.
for the next budget season.
And that beach manager can do boats, they can do, people bring their dogs there and then the dogs are like in the water and pooping and stuff. There's other rules that people break besides just the boats.
yeah. So I definitely think a beach manager would be ideal. I'm just saying we might not get anyone. So what do we do to try to mitigate those issues?
I think first let's vote on whether we advertise for a beach manager and try to get the budget for it. If nobody applies for it, then we can just talk about other options.
Okay, I
Yeah,
agree.
nothing, let's develop a budget, develop the rest, and have something to vote on to present to the finance committee.
So do
Right
we
now,
need
you're
to,
presenting what?
do we need to vote on presenting,
Part-time, help
getting a
out.
budget?
No, but I will prepare for your next meeting
Okay,
a couple scenarios of what it would cost to have a beach manager from probably the week before Memorial Day through the week after Labor Day. You're
Okay.
talking X amount of weeks and I would recommend going 40 hours for the summer. So you can attract college kids or somebody that might be home for the summer that would like to make a good, I don't think it would hurt. There's no benefit cost.
Yeah.
So it's, even if you're talking 3 or 4 days, at least 8 hours, you're talking 30, you might as well put it out there as 40
Yeah.
and see if we can. We did get 5 summer staff with the highway department this year, at $20 an hour, 40 hours a week. The one negative will be once you say weekend hours and they're gonna be working weekends, it does become a little less attractive, but hey, you make $800 a week working up there.
And it's at the beach, so it's kind of fun. So-
there might be an appeal for it to be part-time. There might be
that too.
like summer people who don't want to like necessarily, like if they're college students, they don't want to work full
We can still
time.
base it on 40, and if you get a couple applicants, you hire 2 people. Now you have some leverage if one of them's away 1 week or something
Yeah.
like that. I'll put together a budget for you based on a beach manager, 40 hours of work a week, whether it's 1, 2, because it's seasonal, so we're not offering benefits. So there's no other costs other than the direct pay per hour. So I'll put that together so that you have something you're actually voting on
Okay.
to present to the finance committee and select board for
And when do we present that?
in January.
January.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you taking minutes, Katie?
Yeah, I'm taking notes. Yep, no worries.
Great. Okay. So. Update on finishing trim around beach house garage and key installation. Did Hugh give you an update on that?
Yeah, the key, I believe it was supposed to be here this Thursday, but then last Thursday, but wasn't coordinated. So that'll be done shortly. And he will when he gets guys up there, they're gonna finish up the trim and the rest, so.
Okay.
And those type of things, you as chair, just send you.
An email.
You don't need, doesn't need.
Doesn't need to go on the
This
agenda.
is just, yeah, those are just operational issues, so.
So we have a lot of Adirondack chairs in the garage right now that are broken.
Yeah.
Probably like 7 or 8.
All right,
So one of our 2025 things will be seeing if Hugh can repair any of those.
right. So
Over
we
the
spoke about
winter.
that. He's gonna take them all, take the parts from some to fix the others, and then whatever's remaining, we'll order for replacements this winter. So they're here right from the start of the season.
Great,
All set. That's another operational one, easy enough.
great.
Johanna, side note for this, it kind of falls into here. Last meeting, you said you would do an inventory of like the chairs and benches and things like that. Did you get a chance to do that?
I am not, I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries, because we could figure out out of those 8 chairs, what, and then how many we have, and then order enough to know what we need.
So
Maybe.
however many, so how,
Yeah.
I don't think we need more if all those chairs were functional and out on the
So you
grass.
say all those chairs. For us, it's easier. Give us a number.
Yeah.
Do you want 10 chairs up there? Do you want 12?
The chairs that are in the garage, let's see how many we can fix. And then based on how many we can't fix, let's order that number. So all the chairs in the garage need to either be refixed or replaced.
How many
I know
are there
we-
now? 8?
I think that's about 8. I think 8.
So we need 8.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it'd be easier just going forward. If we say we're gonna maintain 12 chairs up there, then every winter we fix and then we order the replacements and
Yeah.
we just maintain 12 chairs.
I think when
So
they're,
if you guys
yeah,
set a limit, we'll just work within that.
when they're all functional, I think we do have enough as is, but right now we're very low.
Okay,
I can have the inventory done by the next meeting.
okay.
But my notes.
Okay, great. So this is another thing that probably didn't need to go on the agenda, but there's a bunch of wasps nests. I don't think they're active. I don't know if there's any
Use
active. I didn't actually see.
Yep, they're gonna take care of it this week, that. And then was it a stall or the outer door that's?
The outer door just is, I don't know why the men's stays closed and the women's just swings wide open, but.
All right, we weren't sure what
the
the issue was. So that's where sometimes that's just easier to just shoot an email and just tell us what's happening, because we didn't understand, because we're like, the front door closed. Oh, so it's an issue that it swings open,
It doesn't
doesn't
swing open,
lock.
it just doesn't close.
doesn't.
So there's no latch,
Right.
there's no latch on that door. And I don't know why the men's door closes during the day, but the women's door is always wide open. And so there's like, that's why there's so many wasps nest
All right,
and bugs and stuff in there.
doesn't fully close. All right, both of us had no idea.
Oh, really?
What the actual issue
There's a woman's bathroom door that doesn't lock too.
Oh, one of the stalls?
Yeah, one of the
Oh.
stalls doesn't
of
lock.
one of the stalls. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, we just needed
Yeah, I didn't know how specific I should be on the agenda because I thought everything would be discussed, we'd be discussing anyway.
yeah, like I said, we weren't sure what the issue was with the female door. So we're like, what is it? Oh, all right, it won't fully close. All
Okay.
right, we can take a look at that.
Great.
Not a problem.
Okay. Moving on. So the pump station is done. Yay, pump station's done at Park Street. But did they put new grass seed down?
Can I jump in on this one? Because I talked to Mike about it. So they saved a little bit of the budget for this for them to come back after Labor Day when all the rain and all that stuff, because it washes away the seeds. So they're gonna come re-till and regrass it.
Okay.
So it's still part of the budget. So they're gonna come back and regrass it. We are responsible for the plantings around it.
The arborvitae?
Yeah, they did ask us not to plant that because it's so hard for them to maintain and keep up with because it grows so fast.
We,
Mike from the,
oh, the one.
Yep.
Okay.
so they asked if we could choose something that's not that,
Something
They
that's
can't-
not like, doesn't.
that doesn't grow as fast, yeah, that they don't have time to go and prune it
Okay,
as
so
much as that.
that seems like a perfect job for Johanna to choose. So we should choose something that like fills. Maybe some.
Like a hemlock would be nice or something like that.
Yeah, well, hemlocks get really big.
Yeah.
And they do need a lot of maintenance.
There are
And
Yeah.
dwarf arborvitaes that are like 4 foot by like 4 foot
Yeah, they are.
diameter. And they only get to like 10 feet tall. And then there's
In the
also
cover.
Japanese holly. Is it Japanese holly?
I like holly.
But it's an evergreen and they have different varieties that are not as fast growing, but I would like to cover the pump station as well as we can with an
Absolutely.
evergreen
Mhm.
or a shrub. So I'll let you do some research since you're the gardener, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So this is for the pump station. What's the height?
Does this have to be our budget because they cut down all the arborvitaes from the old pump station,
more than likely it'd have to come out of site improvements, yeah.
site improvements?
Now, it also could just be something to be done next season and build in next year's budget for plantings. So maybe just figure out what you'd like. I mean, one of the other options is instead of filling it in with a fence, if you were to strategically plant trees, some type of trees around it, the black fencing itself, there's stuff that there's like green netting that you can put on it, so it blends into the background a little better than just standing out the way it is right now. You can't see through it. If you look it up online, you can find that there's fencing like it's just creates, you put a green, it basically pins to it and makes it green and not see-through.
Hmm.
And then you could plant just strategic trees around it to just make the area look good.
Or
There's a bunch
bushes.
of options.
We could
So
still
just
do
look at
bushes.
the options you'd like to do, and then we can figure out what to do.
Yeah, I do feel like the arborvitaes last time looked kind of obvious because they were so close to the fence and they were so square.
Mhm.
But so we could make it look a little bit more natural and hidden with some variety perhaps.
I'll also bring you that fencing stuff that you can put on it. It just makes it blend. It's just a mesh, like a green mesh that you hook to the fencing. And it just makes the fencing
Yeah.
blend more instead of like, boom, standing out the way it is right now.
Yeah, I mean, what's the other idea? I mean, what about not having just like a fence around it?
There is a fence around.
There is,
Oh, but a closed fence, like, like a wooden fence where you can't see into it. And you have a door. I mean, would that be cheaper than having a bunch of,
No, fence is expensive.
is it? Okay, I don't know the pricing of fence. So having shrubs would
And
be
I think,
cheaper.
so it's on a hill
Mhm.
and then there's a chain link fence at the top.
Okay.
And so we'd have to like to make it, to hide it, I think you'd have to like put another fence right in front of the chain link fence up on the hill. Cause if we're at the bottom of the hill, it still wouldn't do anything.
Unless you had that screening he's talking about, you could put that on the black wire fencing on the backside and then have like a little fence around the other three sides, but whatever. I don't know the cost of fencing, so not my forte. But I can look at some shrubs and some evergreens.
Yeah, some evergreen shrubs would be nice. Maybe we could get a couple of those trees from the
conservation through National Grid. I'm not sure if they're still available, but it was a mixture of trees. And it wasn't arborvitae, but it could be something to strategically place if we get,
Yeah.
I'll shoot the committee an email with the stuff that goes on fencing to make it, like I said, it just makes it blend because it's just greenery.
Yeah.
I know
if
what
we
you're
could,
talking about, yeah.
I think if we could
like a
hide
screen.
that as much as possible, it'd be nice for the park.
Yeah.
Okay. So another update to the Park Street kayak launch. Have we heard from the engineering company at all to see when they might be able to come and tell us if ADA compliance is possible?
So there's just a couple things not sure, some of the other issues too. So there is an email here where, you'll see it's in there from, April about the grades and stuff. You know, you know, the grades are very rural for access to the site with some stepping stones near the water. You know, they point out a bunch of things here. The site is dynamic in terms of erosion and sediment deposits, and the soils are very soft on that riverbank.
Mhm.
We'd have to take that. It's also most likely within the DOT layout for the bridge, which means we have to get a state access permit. And further upstream, the banks are quite steep and not as favorable. So this is just some of the stuff there, so, you know.
So it sounds like just from briefly reading this email, they're not totally in favor of it.
No, but
Correct me
they
if I'm
did put
wrong.
at the bottom that a simple path down to the river with some large stone paste on the shoreline may be the better solution.
Okay,
There'd have to be some really large stones to not float away or,
Right,
Yeah.
there's definitely movement on that river edge there. It's soft soil, it's the rest, so.
if,
Whether or not you want to have an official kayak launch, as you know, as far as you don't need to provide ADA, we have to try, but if it's not feasible or financially viable, then you don't have to do it. Yeah, but you have to examine it. You know, the path would be up to there, but then the end site doesn't have to be, so. And you could use crushed stone and the rest to create a pathway to the river there. So I guess it's whether or not you guys still want to pursue. There are definitely issues with this site as far as the sediments and the rest. I'm not sure what the demand is or,
yeah, I see people with boats there in that parking lot.
right, which people can launch from anywhere on a river and from the park they can, but just remember, we have to create a safe launching spot if we're going to call it a boat launch.
Right.
That's what changes it. If not, people just go to the river and launch. I'm sure people go right to that edge of the bridge there and launch from there. That's where I would if I brought my kayak. I'd just go right there, park in the parking lot, walk my bridge kayak down and launch into the river.
Yeah.
But if you're going to make it an official kayak launch, that's where it's different. Or do you just leave it and let people just.
Mhm. What are the restrictions around, plantings in a spot like that? Do you have to get conservation? Because what if we could stabilize the soil?
Everything has to be fully engineered. You have to get notice of intent and everything within. Anytime you're within 200 feet of a water body, you're in the wetland protection area, and within 50 feet is very restrictive.
Could that be part of the plan though? Like if we were gonna put in stones and get all the engineering work and get it conservation approved, we're gonna do it anyways with the stone. Could you add like soil stabilizing things? Do people do that? Like plantings and stuff?
you'd have to have a lot of plantings, and there'd be certain types of plantings for the root system to hold, to be able to hold the soil in place.
Like we did a white pine at the beach to do that, basically.
You got to remember, you're dealing.
Get a certain,
You're dealing with a floodplain down there. That floods, it backs up in the river.
Yeah.
It swirls right there at the bridge. That's why it's all, like they point out here, it's very dynamic in that area. It's not don't even compare it to the lake. The lake is a lake.
Yeah.
A river is a much different beast when
Right.
you're dealing with.
and there's not a lot of plants that do well in flooded areas. There's certain species that, do okay, but they don't tend to be the type of plants that you would use to, per se, like, holding, like an erosion area where you're trying to withhold the integrity of the soil. Those aren't that kind of plants.
Mhm.
So I think that would be a bit of a challenge, for that approach. And you need a certain amount of like yardage for that to work too. And usually like people don't do those things unless it's like on an incline. But if it's a floodplain, is it flat in that area? I haven't actually been
Well,
there.
I think maybe all my point is that like maybe there's some kind of soil stabilization that could help with this, but maybe, do we want to pursue this further? and look into big stones to put in for the boat launch, or? This was one of Nick's passion projects.
Is it? I mean, I don't know much about this particular project and how much demand there is for it.
I think there's other projects we should be focusing on, because if a kayaker wants to get into that river, they're gonna go if there's a stone or not.
Or a launch, yeah.
And then if they just go in, we're not responsible. If it floods, we're not responsible for fixing it. If a kayaker wants to go in at that point, they're just gonna go in.
I
It's a
think
big
that,
project.
so right now it is labeled as a canoe launch, right?
Is there labeling down there?
Yeah,
Is a sign.
there's a sign.
Oh, we should take that out because that was hooked.
And I think that,
Other-
I think.
That was hooked to the
that-
dock.
Other dock, which was. you
Yeah.
know,
So and then the Housatonic Valley River,
Association.
The HVA,
Mhm.
yeah, they have it listed, I think, also as a launch point, right?
yeah.
So we can
All
just
right,
call them.
it is,
in.
we should then remove it as a launch point because the launch isn't there anymore.
Yeah,
And we weren't able to keep it in because the dynamics of the rise and fall of the river meant that launch was either in the air or it was underwater or
Yeah.
the rest. It didn't work. And currently it's up at the boat ramp and still trying to get DCR to move to the next step, which would be designing a kayak launch beside the boat ramp.
Okay,
To Launch onto the.
that was one of our questions from last week. Okay. Was the intention, and Joanna, that was on your list, so he just answered the question of.
Sorry, what was on my list?
So on your list was to look into what the intention was with the
kayak.
kayak launch at the boat launch at the lake.
Okay,
And we just found out that they are intending to use it.
Yeah, we moved it up there with an intent to use it at the lake,
oh,
and have a kayak launch beside the boat ramp instead of people launching from the boat ramp kayaks.
that's great. I'm really happy to hear that. Yeah, that's wonderful. Sweet, thank you. Great, yeah, I have to agree with Katie on this one. I think it's a big project. I think there's a lot of potential issues that we'd be getting into that we're probably not gonna be maybe as well equipped to try to do such a big project. Not that I don't trust that you guys couldn't do it, but I just think we'd be getting in way over our heads with that.
So maybe we'll just table it for right now,
Yeah, I think we have
and we'll revisit it next year and see where we're at, see if anybody has requested it or.
yeah, we could reach out to the Housatonic River Association, see if anyone's reached out to them, or if we can just maybe gather some information from the public as to how, what they want, and if there's a demand for it, then we could definitely put it back on the table, but I'm not seeing that. I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything either. I think that people don't write emails. They just complain to each other.
Yeah, right. Well, sometimes we get a few complaint emails.
Thank you. Yeah, I get a lot of complaints whenever I'm at the beach, and I'm like, just email Parks and Rec. I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah, I don't mind engaging, but yeah, I haven't really.
I mean, technically, there's still the cement pad that the old ramp attached to. It's right there at the river. People can just set a kayak in, and launch from
Yeah.
it now. It's
And that
just-
hasn't gone anywhere. So
That hasn't gone anywhere, no.
So I think people like finding those like secret spots to launch in, and then they feel like nobody else it's not gonna be crowded, so.
yeah, we'll see. It's a really popular stretch from that launch to right where in Glendale, right where the train tracks are. That's where people get out. I see people going in and getting out all the time.
That's a big one, yeah.
Oh, I never.
And I do think that there is some hesitation with the muck, the PCB muck, so
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's
having some
understandable.
stones might be nice.
Platform.
Yeah, we'll revisit it maybe in a future meeting. Okay. Tennis courts on Pine Street, any progress?
So we did have Williams excavating in and they won't put it needs to be fully done all the way down to the base. So
And how much is the current quote on that?
we don't have one at this, but it will be well over 50,000.
Well over 50,000.
Yeah.
To get all new tennis courts?
You're gonna have to dig the whole thing existing out and put in all new base, all new paving, everything.
Okay, I thought it was gonna be more than that. I thought the last quote we got was 100,000 for that.
From Peretti.
Oh, that's not even counting
Oh.
setting it, that's just
That's just-
putting the blacktop
Yeah.
down. That's not putting the court in.
Okay,
Yeah, that would be another 20,000 plus on, Freddie was 53,000 to put a top skim coat over the rest, but they would not warranty the work at all because of the condition of the subsurface. So basically you were gonna put in money and if it started cracking, peeling and the rest, Paredes was not gonna guarantee
Yeah.
any work. So me and Hugh said, there's no way we can sign a contract where they're not gonna guarantee the work at all. Williams came in and said they wouldn't put it, Freddie recommended that we contact a paving company to put a top coat on. We brought in two different ones, Williams and I forget the other one, and they said they wouldn't put a 2-inch top coat on because they wouldn't guarantee the work because the sub base is that bad. So the entire court needs to now be done,
From scratch.
back out, redone and that. So Pine Street was in much, unlike the courts and the rest of the town hall,
Yeah.
the tennis court is in bad shape.
so I'm gonna throw out a crazy idea.
Fun.
What if we revisited other uses and talked to Riggs about maybe doing something different there?
Mhm.
Like a
I love that
splash
idea.
pad or a
Splash pad wouldn't work there.
Mm.
A toddler playground would be a good idea, an ice skating rink, because you just have to flood it and
I like that
bury it
idea.
in, but
Like
that's,
splash.
yeah. Splash pad, you need it to be by the river for the water to have a place to flow out to.
And I was talking to Katie's husband and he said that there might be a parking lot that would be available to the public that's really close to Pine Street. Is that true? Do you know about that parking lot?
Your Riggs,
Like,
in the Riggs property?
not on
My
the Riggs
husband?
property, your husband.
Oh, well, the Red Lion Inn owns a parking lot. It's in
Oh.
parking.
Oh, maybe that, I don't think that's what, because he was talking to my husband about how it would be cool if that was a pool. And then he was like, but there wouldn't be parking. And then but there is town parking somewhere on Pine Street.
I haven't seen it. I was just there today measuring the mural or the wall. I didn't see any parking.
Yeah, I'm not-
I don't think it's obvious. I think there's like a little
There's no public
dirt
parking.
road with dirt parking.
There's a part, yeah, that's owned by the Red Lion Inn.
Yeah,
Oh,
That's private property.
that's private, yeah. It's in the back, it's covered.
yeah, because the only other thing that I can see being an issue is, so as tennis courts, you only have to ever park 4 cars. But if it were a playground or a pool or a ice skating rink,
You need more parking.
but you could park in town and walk, it's walking distance. I don't know, what do you,
I like the idea of having some other sort of recreational.
I mean, me and Katie talked about the splash pad. The only thing is if you put it up there, you're gonna need chlorinate, so it's gonna cost a
Yeah.
lot.
To do
Put it down here, you can discharge the water into the river because you're gonna just run potable water.
okay,
be a third of the cost.
Yeah, bathrooms, you have
Everything's,
parking, you have everything would, if we ever did it, it belongs right back here.
okay.
I think we should stick with the tennis courts. I mean, I know I've got emails about, like we've gotten a couple emails, people asking, when is it gonna be done? When is it
Yeah,
gonna be
we
done?
have gotten a lot of
Yeah,
interest,
so
but it also
haven't-
looks terrible.
I think a
It
lot
I
of
think it might be
emails,
more of the look, because this one
yeah,
isn't tremendously busy.
No,
no,
it's not, but some people don't like playing like in a very visible area,
Yeah.
visible area.
I think a lot of the Pine Street was the looks of it. I think it was the neighbor saying, because if you looked at the emails, it was the neighbor saying
Yeah.
when something happened, because it does look bad. It
It
does,
looks bad.
it's not pretty at all.
What about a pickleball court?
That is a smaller, yeah,
We talked about it's much
it's
smaller.
much smaller,
Yeah,
so it have to be,
Yeah,
it'd be
But we
cheaper.
just put that fence in.
we did.
We can remove
The
the
good news
fence,
about the
right?
fencing is, other than the posts that are in the ground that we'd take them out, reset them, we could reuse the fencing. So it's
Yeah.
not like the fencing.
It wouldn't be a complete loss.
We would use it elsewhere, possibly around the, partially around the basketball court to prevent balls from going outside. There are some things I wouldn't worry about. Think about what else you wanted, what else could possibly go there, maybe not make a decision today.
Yeah.
But know that if we are gonna replace it, it's gonna be, by the time you're done with all in, you're probably looking at closer to 100,000.
100,000 all in.
Well, I haven't, been so busy. This is like my busy time of year, but I could put in a couple calls to some companies or just some other port replacement companies out like Eastern Mass. There's probably a lot more options out there that, see if I can find someone a little cheaper, come in a little cheaper that would come out here and do it, even if it's a pickleball court. Somebody who could resurface that whole area and do all that.
They
work.
can't
Fix
resurface
it.
it. I think we have to dig out what's currently there and then re-put a pad, right? And is that what William said they were gonna
We
be?
have to put we
Yep.
have to take out the existing one, put a whole new base in, and then the top.
Maybe
Okay.
the top, maybe we can
Originally,
get a cheaper
It
quote for
was
the
around
top.
just putting a top in,
Because
2.5 inch or 2 inch base.
But then it
When
would
you
just
press
crack.
it gets down to 1.5 inch, but the subsurface is so cracked, they're gonna come through in no time.
I see.
So
Nobody will.
companies we've had are not gonna guarantee the work.
Right.
Yeah.
gotcha.
So,
Could
and
you-
it's not about you're not gonna find a company, they're gonna have to mobilize equipment and bring it out here. The paving companies can easily put in a court, it's just, they basically have looked at it and said, your base is bad,
Mhm.
which,
So either way, we're gonna need a base and an excavator to go in there and take
yeah,
it all out.
remove everything, take it out. We have the fencing, so you just disconnect the fence and then put it all back in.
How
Do we
much
have any
money do we have
quotes?
left?
I have a budget.
$26,000
thing right-
26,000 left?
is the line item for
Mhm.
all the tennis courts
It's right here, guys.
and the rest.
So we'll have to ask for more money at the town meeting for that,
Well,
if we
that's
decide to
what
go, if we decide to go with the.
Decide to go a
tennis court.
different direction, you decide to go,
Ice skating rink and.
Ooh, I never mind
Or,
that.
the only problem with the
Yeah.
ice skating ring is
It's
the
how
last
that- it's
2 years you would not have frozen it.
nope, Lee didn't get a
Last year
thing
you
out
would
of
have never
theirs.
frozen a ring.
Well, you know that there are options if, I don't know how expensive it is, but I think that there are ways that you could freeze the ice. It's like these carnivals come in with ice skating rinks, right? And they freeze the ice to like keep it frozen. So even in warm days, they still have, when I was like in Boston, they have their ice skating rink and some days it's a little slushy, but they always have ice. So how do they manage that?
I don't know.
I don't know, I haven't looked into it. It was just an idea that popped into my head.
I mean, the way we use
look
it with
into
our
it.
guys is it's flooding by the fire department and then letting nature freeze it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unless
Climate
you
change.
guys are free to look at whatever other options you'd like to bring back, but the way it was done here, the last couple of years, you could not have done it
No.
because
Yeah.
it hasn't been cold enough.
No.
I know. I've been trying to get it the last couple of years.
I love the idea of an
I
ice
haven't-
skating rink.
Me too. I wanted to do it at the skate park and like hang lights and stuff.
Have an
Have
idea.
hot cocoa.
What about, since we have an older population here in town, but not just older, but anybody could use this, but in Lee, they built that huge like outdoor gym.
Oh, that
That's like,
costs thousands.
yeah, I know. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not saying it's gonna be
No, no.
cheap, but I mean, to use that space to maybe have partly like an outdoor gym for people that, who can't, like, because you have the senior housing right there.
It
People
would
who can't
probably need a
afford-
similar scraping of the
Yeah.
base and a
Either way, we're
similar
not gonna get away
pad
from
and
that.
it probably would be a similar
That's a
budget.
cement pad. It's the rest. I know how the one in Lee, and they also were part of that, not Ninja War.
Yeah, the ninja courses, that would be so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but theirs was around a thing that they got money for.
They got a huge grant
Yeah.
for it.
Well, maybe we can get the grant too.
Yeah, I love
look into
grants.
it.
Yeah.
So let's
Who's
all
in charge of that? Does
explore
anybody know?
ideas. Maybe if somebody should talk to Riggs about it, about if it's something that they would think is possible. And then we can bring this back at another meeting.
I would think of some ideas and then go to Riggs with some and say, here's some things we're considering. Would you be okay? What would you be okay with?
Yeah.
Because ultimately it is there.
Yeah,
And we're
maybe they
supposed to
just want
maintain-
tennis
I'm
courts.
actually in touch with the director anyway because of the mural project, so I could just ask him because I
Alright.
have a meeting with him, so.
Yeah, well, let us brainstorm some ideas first before you reach out.
Okay, but do we have any idea just what the building the base, no matter what we do there, we're gonna have to have a new base, right? So do we have any?
That's a-
Unless you do something with grass
You could
or,
go all the way to right, just remove it and put grass up and put a
Playground up.
there to have a practice soccer thing, or there's 1,000,001 recreational uses. As far as like the exercise ones, you can do individual pads within a walkway.
Yeah,
And then you just do little pads where you stop at each
Like a
pad and.
circuit,
do it.
yeah.
It's basically-
Okay.
so there's a
there's so much you can
there's a
do.
whole bunch, right? So depending on Or are you just committed to what's there is there because it's always been tennis? But I'll tell you, this court out here, it gets used, don't get me wrong, it's,
Yeah.
but it's not like,
It's never
There's never
crowded.
lines.
right, there's.
Not lines,
right,
yeah.
Yeah, so whether or not we need multiple.
Yeah.
Maybe not, and maybe getting we have seen pickleball people, so maybe pickleball would be a better option, it's much smaller, so I would just think of
We could do a
what you want to
survey.
do, and then,
I could do a survey and just put it out there.
well, if you do a survey, we have Survey Monkey, so
Yeah.
we can put out a survey or. for
I
the
think
town, put it on our website.
we should
Ideas
first,
first.
yeah, I think we should first discuss some ideas internally and then to bring it to Austin Rings before we get everybody like overly thinking, overly excited about if it might not even be a possibility.
Yeah, I can talk to him because like I said, I'm gonna meet with him next week about that project, so I can just ask him to, like, we're thinking of doing something else.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's so, he was fine with whatever. He's like, oh, yeah, whatever you guys want to do. I don't think it'll be a problem, whatever we propose there. I think the only issue that he might have is just parking. Is it gonna be, is there gonna be a ton of people trying to park, or maybe try to park on the other side to get access to it or something like that. Anyway,
Okay.
all right, so,
Moving on.
and like I said, just real quick, if we could get an estimate on, just so we have it in the
Fine.
back of our minds, if we choose to say,
No, we're getting a full, but when they came back and said, no, we'll need to do a full thing, we just haven't got the full.
okay,
Because they came back, they looked at it just a couple of weeks ago and said, no, you need to dig the whole thing out and start over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, let's definitely get the full estimate
Yeah,
so
we'll
that we
get
can
that.
ask for that at the town meeting if need be.
yeah,
Okay.
so we have, depending on what we decide to do with that space, it'll just be good to have that and those numbers floating around.
Okay. Ping pong this should hopefully will be quick. Are the ping pong cables ready to go yet or?
Yeah, we just need to get them set up. Hugh's already said when he gets days when there's rainy days and can't use his crew elsewhere, we'll send them up and we'll set them up in the gym.
Okay. Yeah, I think we just have gotten a couple emails asking about that, so just didn't know what to say back. And then number 10, I'll explain a little bit. I put this on the agenda. I was noticing at the skate park, right after the mowed area of grass, there's some really intense weeds going on, invasives going on. Some Japanese knotweed and some other invasive, and I don't know if that's still town property or not, but I was thinking about that and also the town beach. We have some money set aside for removing the weeds from the town beach and replanting some natives. So I was wondering if that area, we could do something similar.
I'm
Like,
not sure of the area you're talking. I mean, anything you're gonna do for replanting or removing plants or anything else, you're gonna have to file a notice of intent with the Conservation Committee.
yeah,
If it's in that area, right past toward the river.
yes, towards the river, yeah. It's in flood zone.
I mean, you're talking within 10 feet of the river, yeah.
I think we talked about this maybe with Hugh and I think we talked about this, but.
Could we just mow more? Could we just mow 10 feet more that way next year?
Well, you're talking about the cracks in the skate park or are you talking about something else?
No, I'm talking about
The
all of the nettles and like, there's like
Poison
10
ivy.
foot tall knotweed. and-
Once you get to that road, there's a barrier there we don't go past, right? They mow right up and then the rest of it's the river area and,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was thinking just like, it would be nice to not have so many weeds right there. And I don't know if that's our jurisdiction or I don't know when it turns.
We'll take a look at it. I'll take a look at it with you, but I don't know if we touch that area. I
Yeah,
really don't, yeah.
As far as weed removal at the skate park, are there conservation issues there? Because it is so close to the park as far as spraying for the weeds in the skate park itself.
I'm not saying spray.
You're not gonna spray there.
I'm not saying
Well-
spray.
Okay, well, no, I think we had talked about with Hugh, and I thought he said something about spraying like a solution of like, I think you can use vinegar, salt and something else and it's like, it's natural, but it helps get rid of the weeds.
I think that was on the tennis courts
On the
or
courts.
I think that was on the pavement.
Okay, because I thought we had talked about the skate park too, or you brought up the skate.
We-
I think that may be,
He was bringing
he was
it,
talking about that on the
So-
skate park.
you had spoken to Invictus, which is the people that do, squiggly lines that you see in the road.
Mhm.
That's crack sealing, so you can, and about having them do the skateboard part, fill in those cracks.
I'm talking about like maybe next year, going through with, those big weed things that they just
brush hog.
like on that side of the roads. And they just,
Not let you cut at the edge of the river because of bank stabilization of the rest.
it's not at the edge of the river though.
You are very close to the river there.
There's a whole tree, there's trees
You
behind.
leave that, we'll take a look at it.
Let's take a look at
I'd like
it.
to take a walk and see it, yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, anytime you're within
There's
50
that.
feet of the river, you are anywhere you're within
Yeah.
50 feet of the river, you are in the area that they tend to not let you do.
I mean, and right there, we're mowing already. We're
Right, we
mowing.
maintain the grass area cut,
Okay.
and other than that, we don't touch the other areas.
Yeah, another reason is having the high weeds, that again, the root structure, that it helps to keep the water, if it does rise, it kind of keeps it back.
Right, and I wasn't thinking just like, leaving it like that. Like I wouldn't just leave it all torn up necessarily, like the root structure, leaving the root structure maybe, but with the knotweed, that's tricky.
If you cut the plants down or do anything to the top part, then the plant itself's gonna die.
There was like a whole study of students that were looking at this invasive, and it wasn't even the knotweed, it was a different invasive plant. And they were over at the skate park and they were like taking measurements of.
Well, if somebody wants to look into what to do, but as far, we maintain the park area, which is, the park area is the grass area. That's the park and rec area. Yeah.
I know, we don't want to add too much work to Hugh's list, or he's gonna hate us. He's got so much work to do
It's
now.
just that we're not really,
Yeah,
we don't touch those areas.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm not, it's not as much of a big deal to me, but I don't spend a ton of time down there in that area, so.
There's a lot of nettles and there's kids playing at the skate park and people get into it. And also we're putting these disc golf nets right there.
The what?
And
Oh, yeah.
disc golf nets, and people are
True.
probably gonna be throwing their disc golf things.
Yeah.
Might want to consider where you locate your disc golf nets.
Well,
And
yeah,
if they're gonna go beyond into that other stuff, that's.
I actually think it's probably clear, but I just think it's worth looking into. I'll look into it more.
we should do a walk around this at our next meeting, just to see. We can kind of maybe gauge how much space we would probably need, like outside of the areas that you put.
Oh, yeah, I texted Katie to walk around it, and I guess maybe was that a separate text? You weren't on that?
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Okay. Yeah, if our next meeting is soon, hopefully. I was hoping we have them. We have
Yeah, I
them
saw
in the
the email that
garage.
you got 'em in.
Yeah, so we could
excited.
install them soon. We need the dig safe. Is the dig safe?
He's already put in the request for dig safe.
And do
so-
you know when that's scheduled for?
I think it happened.
Yeah,
I talked to Christine last.
It's either happening or happening very
So-
soon.
Very soon.
And then Hugh, as soon as he has availability, he'll be down there installing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
And then we
think,
just came in last week. so-
Yeah, I ran into Christine, within the next week or two, the mulch is gonna be down, the seesaw is gonna be done, the trimming's gonna be done, and the disc golf should be done.
okay.
In the next 2 weeks or so, everything that we've been discussing should be done.
So Johanna, why don't you can visit the park and then just text us or email us. I don't think it has to be in a meeting, that if you have any.
Well,
You are
But-
not allowed to discuss stuff outside of meetings.
We're not gonna discuss, she's gonna look at the locations,
Right,
if they look good.
yeah, I mean, I can just walk the path. I mean, I don't know how.
And if
clear it'll be.
something doesn't look good, then we can discuss it in the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing is, this doesn't have measurements, so I'm not sure how far it is from this point.
So all of actually, this is
Is this
a
on?
little bit further down.
Okay, we can,
Wait, so, replacing town beach sign and other signs to order.
So I did include, so you might have seen new signs that have gone around town.
Yep.
They have slats in them. And then I also included ones that we were looking at for the entrance of town.
Yep.
And you might want to do something like these. The slat ones, the nice thing about those, you can replace them. So you can take the slats out, so you can put your rules on the slats. And then if down the road you change rules, you just remove the slats and put new slats in. I wasn't sure if we want to continue with the similar design as what's around town. But if you guys want to come up with a separate design, and go ahead.
I think this would be cuter as a
Yeah.
town beach
And
sign,
it's
and you
still-
can you make it double sided? Like, can you do front and back?
Or Stock,
Yeah,
have it say Stockbridge Town
Yes.
Beach.
Yeah.
Both of these designs would be double sided. This would be raised, so this one was just with no slats underneath. I would recommend you put like three or
slats,
four
yeah.
slats underneath so you can put rules on.
The issue I have with the slats with the new sign is you can't read them.
I know, people
They're,
said that.
they're
so,
small.
yeah.
So if we could get the print a little bit bigger, especially if you're kind of driving down that road.
Well, you guys can set whatever font you want.
Yeah, so we can
People are
even-
pulling in. I'm
yeah.
just saying that if you did the slats, you could then change out rules if you, because
Yeah.
before we had the whole issue of,
So we could. fit
So this
slats on
could
that?
be, no, so like this could be the town
the
beach
top.
sign at the top of the road. And then right when you go in where the no boat launch signs are, we
Uh-huh.
could do something like this.
but this, I was picturing this would probably be half size, not the 10-foot
Yeah, because you don't really know.
ones. We don't need that.
Yeah.
If you did a 5-foot one, and still had like 4 or 5 slats with your rules on it.
that, Like
And we-
hours, don't
Just,
boat launch.
just enough, if you guys,
No
There is
confetti.
already a sign that we installed like 3 years ago there with the rules.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think people look at the
I don't think
signs.
people really
Read
look at
the
it either,
signs.
but I don't think people are gonna look at this one either, honestly.
we still should put up your rules,
Mhm.
but.
They are there.
We should have them
There's
on the
a rule
website.
sign there
Alright.
that we put up. That's what I was just saying is that Nick and me and Steve ordered it like
Alright, so
3
you
years
just want
ago.
a sign that says.
And I think
If that,
flat.
Add a couple slats, so if you need to put, and then we'll put welcome to historic Stockbridge Town Beach. Instead of just, this was done up just as an entrance to the town, so we can
Yeah.
just change it to Stockbridge Town Beach.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Okay. All right,
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
And then we want to probably talk about location once that comes in.
yeah, and we can figure out where you want it located. Yeah.
And then as far as other signs, I can just email Hugh about this because we've talked about this in other meetings. We talked about maybe having residents parking only signs in the parking lot, even if it's not enforced, it will still deter people.
Yep.
Head-in parking, a couple more no launching signs. So I can just email him about that unless
I
you
would
already
think about
talked.
how you want to, where you want signs, and you don't want too many signs.
Not too many.
You have to figure out how you're gonna put the signs. Some. could
Yeah,
be
I don't think we need a
slats and
head-in
stuff.
parking
I mean, I
only
think we're
in
gonna get
every
slats, we should
spot.
put it on there. I mean, we have like enough signs, people aren't gonna listen to them, but it's like, I don't know, maybe that sign will be more obvious. If we put no boat launching here, I don't know. Again, I don't think signs are gonna help address the issue.
It wouldn't hurt.
It wouldn't hurt, but I think in the long term, until we get a beach manager.
There's some rule followers like me that would just, if I saw a sign, I'd be like too nervous to not follow it.
I wish more people were like that.
Okay, so I'll just email Hugh about but we need to know how many signs, I guess. to
I would
order.
figure out what you want for signs, how many, come back to the committee, vote on your signs, and then we can have them up for next season.
For next
I mean, we're already April or
Oh,
August.
yeah, I put for
whatever. It's
2025.
all 2025 stuff, so. What we don't want to do is be talking about this in April or May. We
Mhm.
want this fall
Winter,
stuff or next spring and summer decided in the fall, so we can get everything. Such as if we ordered the disc golf, whatever we're ordering after July 1st, most likely doesn't come in until the fall anyway, so you don't get it much that season,
mhm.
Yeah.
so.
Okay. And then, so item 12 is a little bit repetitive of what we already talked about with the beach manager, but you have anything more?
Yeah, I didn't know. I thought we were still on 10. I didn't want to skip 11 since I put it on the agenda.
We're on 11.
You're on 11? Oh, okay.
We just did 11, we're on 12.
You're on,
Okay.
you put 12 on the agenda.
I put
I
12,
put
11
12 on.
and 12.
Oh, I think you don't have the revised.
I put, yeah, I don't.
I posted a revised.
Yeah, I don't, yeah, so I'm not quite done talking about the,
Okay, so you want to talk, so 12 is the next one, because I had to add 2 items, so I posted a revised agenda.
yeah, this is on the website. I think I opened this from the website.
There's another
There's
link
two.
below.
There's another
yeah.
one, there's 2 of them.
We have to leave the other one up and then we post the revised one.
Okay, okay,
Sorry, you've been off by one this whole time.
I know.
So
Well, anyway,
12 is your agenda item of.
I also put 11 on
watercraft.
there though. I put, well, the old one, 11.
Here, this is the new one, if you
11?
want to take a look.
Thanks.
11 was replacing the signs, 12 is.
Oh.
That's what 12 is now.
Oh, okay, that's why I'm so confused. All right, sorry, thank you. All right, so 12, all right, so now we're talking about.
Yeah, so 12, if you want to look at this, that Mike printed out, this was the study that Foresight did 2 years ago.
It's 3 years ago.
3 years ago about moving the boat launch to the dam. So this is an old study, but something that we can work off if we want to move the kayaks over there. So one of the things that I think is a huge problem that we've discussed time and time again is unauthorized boat launching at the town beach. It's a problem. You're worried about the zebra mussels, all that stuff. I think one of the ways to not get anybody in confrontations anymore,
Or
not having
confused.
anything like that, is if we physically move the kayaks to the dam. What we can do is we can put in the paperwork for Foresight to come back, because this is an older study, so there is space. So this is 2 trailer parkings, which you wouldn't need trailers because this was a boat launch, not a kayak launch. So you can put all the kayaks racks here, parking right here, and it's enough that we can move all of the kayaks over and put a kayak launch right there. It will deter people from bringing their own kayaks, because if we say absolutely no boats allowed at the town beach, because it's a swimming beach, we wouldn't have to worry about a zebra mussel.
So there would
watching
be an
station.
inspection person there too?
No, but what we should do is when people drop off their kayaks is have a set day where people can do zebra mussel checks. Kayaks and stuff, if you turn them upside down in the sun, it kills the zebra mussels.
Was that?
How long does it
said by
take
the
to?
person who does the zebra mussel checks?
Yep. So if you turn them upside down, the sun with the dehydration will kill them.
How long does it take to kill them though?
2 days?
2 days.
At all,
Yeah, I
2
mean,
to 3 days.
I think the issue is that, I would like that idea of moving it so that it's not confusing because that's another thing people would say to me is, well,
Those
those
are
people
there.
are there,
Mhm.
so they don't get that there's a permit and that they don't leave. I'd have to explain all that. So, yeah, I would be into that idea, but, again, we're not addressing the launching of.
Everything coming in from outside is supposed to go through the zebra,
Mhm.
through the boat.
They're
launch.
supposed to, of course.
Not supposed to go anywhere else.
But
Now,
they
what
don't
we could do
follow
is
the
down there is just put in cameras and then get the environmental police involved in going after people that bring, because they should be kayaks should be brought there, unloaded, put on their racks, and no one else should be using that space at all.
Right. I just think after talking to people, I think, and we should care about this. We're a board, we're elected. I think we should care about trying to make, resolve the zebra mussel issue, because we should care about that. It's our environment, it's our lake. We love our lake, but we should also try to make an effort to make it convenient for people. It's not convenient for everyone to go to the boat launch. So if we have another space where they can launch smaller watercraft like kayaks and paddleboards, we should have another either inspection station there or have a self-cleaning station where people will be, more apt to use it because it's convenient
well,
for them.
Have a spray there for people to use, but
Yeah.
also it should be by permit only, and it should just be,
But permit only, again, like we're really kind of like limiting the use of our lake and our beaches for out-of-towners who maybe are just here
who
for a
should be
couple days.
using the boat launch.
The boat launch. I
With
mean,
the
bigger lakes
check.
around the county all have their boat launches where anybody coming from the outside launches from the boat launches.
I know, but we're like one of the most highly trafficked tourist areas, towns in the entire county. We should make it so that people who are coming here to visit, we don't want to deter tourists, but we also want to protect the lakes and we need to come up with a
Tourists should be,
solution.
in my opinion, tourists should be sent to the boat launch.
Yeah,
The
well-
kayak launch at the beach or the kayak launch here is for residents.
residents
Second
only.
homeowners
Yeah,
who want a place to store, to actively use.
then
their
everybody else
garage
should
town
be
lake.
going to the boat launch to get
But
checked.
unless we have somebody policing it, it's not gonna happen.
So
It's not
The
gonna happen.
kayak
People are gonna do what
racks
they want to do anyway.
have been there for a really, really, really
And
long time,
This
and
has
people
been
are
a
gonna
problem
be
for a
really, really.
long time.
Yeah.
We're not getting rid of them. We're just looking to move them.
I'm just saying that if we're concerning ourselves with what the townspeople will think and doing what we think is, what the townspeople will want, I know that there will be a lot of really upset people
Yeah.
that don't have a rack at the beach because a lot of people walk there from their houses that live in the area. That's just something to consider because since I've been on the committee, oh my gosh, those people are the most vocal people about wanting their spots, about making sure they have their spots, about the kind of spots they have and making sure that those racks stay there and.
I also
That's why we
don't,
have a confusing situation there.
yeah,
You
I
got
just-
kayaks launching at public swim beach.
where kids are
That's my
running
point is
around.
it's like,
We
go, let's,
shouldn't be launching
and-
boats at a public swimming area.
Right,
That's
I
why you're not
agree.
supposed to swim at the boat launch.
I agree, and I have no problem with moving it. I just think that we need to have, unless we're gonna have somebody policing it, we have to think about how we're gonna deter people from, because they're gonna do it anyway. So let's make it easy for them. Have a self-cleaning station. I think that would be like the easiest and cheapest solution.
I think it would just encourage people to keep launching from there.
Yeah, it's fine if they launch from there, but at least they're gonna have some personal responsibility to take
I
care
don't
of
want
their boat.
people bringing in boats and launching from the beach. I
I'm
don't.
not talking about the beach. I'm talking about this
Oh.
alternative space that they're proposing to move it there. But I'm just saying, this only resolves one of the issues.
Can I just clarify, we're not voting on to move it, we're voting on to look into having Foresight come and do a new sketch for kayaks.
Because one thing that they have to do is we have to reinforce the banks because that is the dam, that whole Stockbridge Bowl.
Yeah.
So you can't have tons of people climbing up over the bank,
Yeah,
Do we have
causing damage and the rest.
an estimate on?
No, this was presented
It's
to you
already
guys
done?
about 2 years ago, that this part and
I don't remember ever seeing that.
yeah, that study was done and
Mm-hmm.
we never went any further with it. So if you want the next step is the actual design and cost because you'd have to put in reinforcement on the dam of where people are going to walk up and over. Because like I said, if you get too many people in their traction, you don't want to be destroying any.
This is on
Yeah.
Lake Drive?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's down the first one.
Okay.
So many out-of-towners wouldn't know that this place exists. It's not the town, it's not publicized.
I know, well, there's a private property sign, I think. Like,
That's
the
not-
second
The
entrance.
town owns, yes, yeah, beyond, there's two, you come in and go right, that's ours.
Yeah.
The left, it's private.
That's
property.
private.
okay.
This would be for residents.
Residents.
You could add a whole bunch more. We've always had requests for more
Mhm.
as far as for residents to have down there. People, tourists wouldn't see us, we wouldn't put any sign. I would not recommend putting any sign on the road, nothing, if we were to go this route. This would be just a,
So how are we going to deter people? Because people are going to launch their craft somehow. So how are we going to prevent people from launching their craft from the beach or anywhere on the lake if there's no monitoring? How are we going to deter the infestation of zebra mussels? And how are we going to make it accessible for people who are just here for a short visit?
the people for a short visit should be going to
The boat launch.
boat launch run by the state and the town together.
Right,
You know,
but
a boat launch station.
let's be real, that's not gonna happen. They're not gonna go to the town hall. I mean, if I were visiting a town for a few days, I'm not gonna go to the town hall and say, hey, where can I, launch my
Go online
kayak?
And it shows the beach launch is at the beach.
Right, but.
For somebody that goes.
Recently, we
hiking
have the
all over.
rules on our own website. We only had, only recently when I ran into that issue, did we add we're not very good at keeping up with the website and all the rules. But then again, a lot of people aren't thinking, oh, I should look at the website to make sure it's okay to launch here. They just, you know what I mean? I just think they're gonna do it
There's
anyway.
a lot of
So
town
most-
residents who show up to go to the beach and hang out at the beach and they bring their paddle boards.
Yeah, and so, it's not just out of towners, it's residents
It
too.
becomes a lot easier to enforce when you know the swimming area is only supposed to be swimming. once you add in everything else, now it gets confusing for anybody passing by. Are those kayaks, because they pull the kayaks up on the beach and then they eat before putting them on the rack. So then you don't know what's supposed to be there. If you had just a swimming beach, a kayak launch site, and then the public access for the general public visitors and everything else, which is a boat ramp, now you'd have all three at the beach and very easily enforceable, in my opinion. Because now no one's launching from the swim beach.
Well,
Well, if you had a beach manager, they could say, can I see your permit? If you had a beach manager there, they can check permits.
Right.
Yeah, but
Manager
once
for next
again, the
week,
beach
just say,
permit,
no, go to
the
the
beach
boat.
manager's only gonna be there for X, the
Which
beach
is
is
why I
open
think we should
12
have
to
a
14 hours a day.
something there, because then it's gonna
Boat ramp,
trigger.
But I
think,
still
oh, I should do
think, I
this.
still think that even if we move all of the kayaks, which I'm not saying I'm opposed to.
No, I like.
I'm just
discussing
saying,
that.
I'm playing kind of like devil's advocate here because I do think that even if we moved all the kayak racks across the lake, which would make a lot of people really unhappy,
Just
I
the people that are
still
living
think
right at the lake.
people
So
would still launch, even if we had a enormous sign saying
With
swimming
flashing
only,
lights.
no boats. I still think people don't read
Exactly.
signs all the time and would do what they want anyway.
That's exactly my
But
point.
then whether it's police or anybody else going by, somebody's going from the beach, they can go right in and say, get that boat out of here. Because it's now not, there is
There's
no.
no gray.
I see,
option
not gonna happen.
I understand how
It's a swim
that
lane.
is
Police are
more
not gonna do
obvious.
that.
It's definitely more obvious.
Yeah, we can, we will.
I honestly think, I mean, 'cause I don't, we don't need to bring the police into this. I think there's a very simple solution. I agree that it would be less confusing for people if we were to move the boats somewhere else, whether it's across the lake. I also see Nicole's point of that upsetting some people, but if it's gonna cut down with the confusion, I think that it's probably better. But I still know that there's gonna be people launching from the beach. So yes, when we see them, we can tell them no, or if there's a beach manager. But I still think that if we have a $50 self-cleaning solution station, self-cleaning station, people are going to, it's gonna let them know that they should be cleaning their boats and they'll get into the habit of using it. And so that'll make me feel a whole lot better.
But that means you're saying this is a boat launch.
No, I'm not. It's
Yeah,
just.
you put a boat,
saying
in my
it's
opinion, you put
acceptable.
a cleaning station and the rest, you're telling people to launch from here. And we are not telling.
Well, then we
people
need to
launch.
have that at the proposed kayak.
And I honestly think that people probably
this.
wouldn't
We
even
need to
use
have
it.
that.
If there's not somebody there saying you need to clean your boat, they're not gonna clean their boat. They're not reading the signs, they're not respecting the rules. Why would they clean their
So
boat?
if the whole issue is the kayaks and stuff, do we just get rid of the kayak racks? And just say everything goes through the boat launch, everything has to get checked every single time you put it in the water?
I honestly think that there's the people who have kayaks on the racks, I think they respect the rules.
I do too.
And they keep their boats there.
Yep.
I don't think they're removing their boats and I don't think that there's a problem with zebra mussels. And if we kept it, like, no, I don't think that we should take away all the racks and then not replace them.
Yep.
I think
The permit people
putting
are
them all at the
respecting
town
rules.
boat launch would be a big ask.
No, I think if you're gonna move them to this location here, you don't advertise, you don't have any signage, so just the people that get their permits.
Who has the
know
permits
that
know
that's where
about it.
They are going there. Visitors and out-of-towners won't even know to pull in there and go down to launch.
Yeah.
And then the boat ramp becomes the visitor one, and then the swim becomes a swim. If you want to take care of these issues, that'd be my recommendation.
That would help with the parking, the
We're not
amount.
gonna deal with it all.
Cars at the
now.
parking
You guys
lot.
should Just think about it.
Yeah, this isn't a voting on today. That's,
Let's
Look
vote,
into
let's
it.
vote to continue to look into this plan or to develop this plan a little bit better.
I'll get them to estimate what it would take, what it would cost to take the next step, filing an NOI, designs and the rest in order, because like I said, number one concern here on this end is we have to reinforce, create a walkway or whatever that's gonna be on the dam, on the earthen part of the dam, because you don't want, like I said.
Yeah,
enough
don't wanna
Traffic
ruin
that
it.
you
How do
damage.
I get there if I want to check this area out?
Is that Interlaken?
it's off
Interlaken?
of 183.
Oh, I know Interlaken, but Lake Drive is off of there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just drive down the end of the road?
See,
just go in,
People-
take a
There's
right,
nothing really
sit in,
there right
there's
now.
Nothing else.
There's
there.
nothing there, so it's hard.
Well, it's where the dam,
Yeah.
and just put a new bridge across the dam.
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's great.
At
Okay.
the end of Lake
It's
Drive.
walking trails and everything else. It's used by locals.
Okay,
Locals
so.
would enforce it.
So just, okay, that sounds great. Well, I just want to say one last bit on, because I'm really pushing to have either someone checking the kayak launch, okay, let's just say that, we move the launch there and permit people only, or permit people will get moved there too. That doesn't preclude or, prevent there being people coming to visit using that, hearing about the kayak launch, or that's where it is, and then going there and not checking their boats. So I would feel more comfortable if we had either a self-cleaning station at the new kayak proposed launch or having somebody inspecting there too, in addition to the launch, the boat launch. So,
So you have 14 hours a day of sunlight and
right.
7 days a week, and you have a boat launch that is fully manned, and that's what we should.
That's why I think a
just-
self-cleaning station.
I understand there's always gonna be a couple people that don't follow the rules. That happens at every lake there is. We need to
Right.
just
Self-cleaning
send people
station
to
would.
where they are.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I don't know why it's such a fight
people
to have a self-cleaning station. It's literally like $75
I
to
think it just
maintain
is
like for the
encourage,
whole
I think it's
season.
just like, I don't know. I think it just creates confusion because we're saying you can't take your boat out of you have to leave your boat here, right? Because of the zebra mussels, but in case you do, spray it down. I don't know.
No, I don't think so. People who have the permits who don't even leave can still use the self-cleaning station too.
Where does the water come from? The
The water?
self-cleaning station? How do they clean?
It's just like it's a special kind of vinegar you can order and you can just spray your boat down and that's it. You just let it sit there for like an hour. Like when you're done using it, for example, people who have the kayaks can just spray it down and put their boat, back on the rack or whatever.
See,
People
that's-
coming in.
That seems
That's a
wasteful.
big difference from the boat ramp, which is heated and it basically
It's a power washer.
power wash it
Yeah.
off. And you can use your boat right away. People
Well,
that are gonna come in and
You
spray your
can-
boat and then sit for an hour or wait.
I mean, I'm not, I
Let's
don't
look
know that
into
much
this.
about it.
Let's
We'll
look into
look
it.
I
into
already
it more.
talked to somebody I tried calling the person in charge of the boat launch, but in the brochure, it says you can spray it with this type of vinegar and it would kill the eggs. So I'm just going off of that information, but I just think that is not something that should be overlooked. If we're gonna move the kayak, I think we should definitely think about that.
Right.
Okay. 13.
Update on basketball backboards. That's you again.
So last time I talked to Tom, he said everything was ordered and you're just waiting for it to come in to be shipped, or did you guys get it yet?
No, we haven't.
Oh, okay, you haven't.
Yeah, they're coming out and doing the installation. I did include this because they sent out, because we were replacing the backboards, they had to have the exact measurements. So he went out and that was done on 7/18. You have a copy of it in your thing and everything's been ordered and now it's just them coming out and doing the installation. So,
Oh, okay.
yep, Kelly green, the colors that you wanted.
Oh, sweet,
the
thank
rest.
you.
So everything is all set. You know, I contacted them actually July 1st.
Okay.
And got everything moving and then everything was ordered and then he sent us this sheet because like I said, you were reusing the posts, so they had to know the exact, because they have to custom do the attachment if you're reusing the post. Well, Pine Street, they didn't care because they're putting in new posts.
Oh, okay, they are.
Right.
Okay.
Well, that's what you had down, Pine Street, new posts. Main Street was use the existing posts and attach new backboards.
Oh, yeah, I think.
That was the quote that was,
Okay, because he did that because he could see from Google Earth or whatever that he was looking at the back of.
yeah, our posts are fine here,
Yeah,
but he needed the exact distance
from.
in order A,
Bracket.
B, C, all these, and he needed exact. So he went out there with the highway crew, measured everything, got those back to me. I did it on the 18th. I emailed him. Now it's just waiting for them to come out and do the installation.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I can just follow up with Tom and ask him when they are gonna be coming out here.
Yep.
Cool, I'm so excited. I play basketball, so I'm like very excited about it.
I figured.
Okay, follow up with Tom on install date. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Michael.
Yep.
All right, what do we got?
Meryl.
Oh, the Merrill project.
Is it?
Go to the
Yeah.
last one so that I can whatever you guys want to talk about on the mural, I don't need to be here for. And I don't think I need to be on the next one after that, which is,
There's,
So the goose maintenance, I think we can just email you and let you know. I think we're probably gonna.
I'm not sure what else we can do. We're
just gonna do the spray. I think we need to just have,
spraying every so often.
so I was just gonna, sorry to skip ahead.
no more.
So the spray, I think that we should probably try to do it as often as we can with all the rain and mowing. So if for 2025, we can just come up with a schedule of when that's going to be sprayed and try to be really consistent of it so that the geese learn that this is not a nice tasting beach.
Yeah. And right now it's rained so you have to have multiple days of dry weather or it just washes right off.
Yeah.
So like this month, I don't know if you saw, it's rained every day.
I just want to be like, okay, we've got the stuff. We're ready to go. We're like on top of it. We have enough that we don't have to reorder it. So I'd like to like have enough that we can be really consistent with it.
And we can
Yeah,
put it
because
down and I know
how
right
many
now they're
times
waiting
do we-
to do it.
how many times did we?
Already done it
spray?
a number of times.
We
So,
have?
Yeah,
Okay, I thought we've only sprayed a couple times.
yeah.
Okay.
It's rained so much.
Yeah, it rained, you caught the rest and yeah. And it's not guaranteed. None of these are, while they.
Yeah, but last year I felt like
Last year they
it helped.
Yeah, and this year we've seen a lot of geese.
And I just don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know when it's getting, so this would be another great opportunity to have like a little bit more of a schedule. Or like, so even if it's raining, we try to get it through these certain amount of times, or so we just can know.
I think if we
It will
start
help
earlier in the
us.
season too, because when they're little goslings and stuff, they make it their home.
Yeah. Yeah, so if we can start really early and especially in the dry season, do it as much as we are allowed to do.
Yep, we'll put it down. We can put it down. I'll talk to them about just ensure. I know right now we're just waiting for a stretch of sunny days to do another application.
Yeah.
So,
I just
Yes.
think let's up it for next year. Let's increase it for next year, or try to.
Yeah, because I know we've tried from the spinning things to,
Yeah.
I think it was the owls or.
The dogs.
Dogs and, we tried things other beaches told us and you're right, this has been the only one that's partially succeeded.
That could be.
Yeah, and I think,
And it's used to
and
the
I think it
beach,
would
so
be a
more
lot
people
more
use the
successful the
beach.
more we do it, yeah.
Yeah, and the more people use the beach, the less the geese they don't like when people are around.
That's true.
When these rainy days happen and no one's at the beach, that's when they start flooding up to the beach, flooding,
Yeah,
The only other one option that I know you guys don't want to explore is the fence. Because I know
It's not
our
gonna help.
state forest has the fence you do a 4 foot.
it has to be
It has to
taller
be
and then it's.
You
Yeah.
can't put a little tube, they'll just flood it right over.
How tall was the last fence that we took
It's
out?
like 2 feet.
It was one, yeah.
It was just one of those short
Yeah,
little
was
ones.
that?
And they just,
Yeah.
the places that have done them, you actually have to do a substantial fence. And then you either have a sliding gate on it or you
Or
do
the-
L pattern, because they won't go through the maze of it. But I've seen them at other beaches and yeah,
I don't think,
chain link 4 foot fences and
Yeah,
they're there to just stop the geese from moving all over the place.
But they'll fly over if they want to get there.
If they really.
yeah, they will. Yeah, because where Patrick launches his kayak on that little private
Yeah, they have
section.
the fence.
Yeah, they have a fence and I see the geese in there all the time.
Yeah, they still get in
It's a
there.
4 foot, it's a.
There is no guarantee against geese. And
Yeah.
they only allow you to go so far. And
Yeah.
they're eating, pooping machines that actually,
I just
Yeah.
want
it
like,
doesn't take them, within an hour, they can recover a beach weed.
Gosh, that's so
I
gross.
think we
Yeah.
just need some really strong smelling grape grass next year.
Yeah, well, the other thing is too, is like, maybe the beach manager, that could be one of their,
Yeah, they can spray, because if they're there and they've got the product, that would be another great thing for the
Yeah.
manager to do.
but we have to be smart with the product in that, you can't spray when it rains because it's just wasting the product. It's just gonna, so if they keep
Yeah.
track, if they're gonna be working outside at the beach all the time,
Yep.
they're gonna know, oh, it's been raining, so I don't need to spray.
Yeah, and then they
So-
won't have a list of they'll be there, so they
Yeah.
won't have to, you won't have to like schedule a highway person to do it after all their other things.
Well, the guys that are up there, they're up there 7 days a week. So as soon as they get an opening where there's enough dry and they do it every so many, and I think there's a treatment schedule on it. So put it down every day and you put it down because you want it to clean. And that, so, yeah.
There might be some kind of chemical recommendations or what's it called, it's a safety data sheet where you can't.
Well, it's not a chemical, it's a.
Oh, it's not. Oh, okay. It's
It's not
Kool-Aid.
chemical.
Grape Kool-Aid.
It is, they don't like the flavor. It's
Okay,
basically
yes.
flavor the
It's a
grass,
citrus
so they
scent.
don't like it.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
They tend to not like eating it, but it doesn't mean it's not foolproof even with treating it. It's.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish I could say there's a foolproof way to
I mean-
keep geese out. There is not, because if somebody developed it, everybody would be using it. I forget what.
Mowing will take
Isn't there like a couple resident dogs, town dogs?
Just add, oh, yeah, there you go. Keep a
Like,
dog there.
let them, yeah, like have like a
Right.
junkyard dog
Yes.
there with like really
Uh-huh.
big teeth.
Yeah,
We did try to get some dogs one year.
yeah.
We asked if any
People to
town
walk their
people had
dogs.
any resident dogs they would
Wanna
take in the
volunteer?
morning. We didn't get as many takers as we thought, but
I have a
people
hunting
just weren't
dog.
consistent about it.
I love it.
Yeah, let them chase the geese and.
I mean, you just have to do it
You make
so
it-
consistently. You have to do it like every
Yes.
day.
Or
for
we have a
them to
beach
learn.
manager
But I
that has
know
a
they just
dog.
said
They
somewhere
can-
else they had it, even at beaches that have like, Stockbridge State Forest has workers every day on, all day and night because it's a place, and they still have geese issues,
Yeah,
because you can only do so much.
yeah.
And once they decide that water is where they are, they're gonna sneak up, eat grass, you shoo them off, they'll come right back and eat it. We're doing everything we can to try to.
What if we get rid of all the grass?
There you go. That's what they're coming on the beach for.
Just get
is
rid of the grass and the
Yeah.
sand and,
And when you look around, they don't like going, they like grass area, open
We'll just
grass
do some
areas, which is. the
Faux
beach.
grass.
yeah.
They don't like going into the forest. They like open grass areas, lawns, other stuff.
We just have to hire a beach manager with a dog. It's like a job requirement.
That would
Have to have a
cause
dog.
just as much confusion with dog owners trying to bring their dogs to the.
Was there something?
The signage for the disc golf park.
Oh yeah, you guys just let us know what that is and we'll put that up. when-
Sounds good.
You have a company that you order.
Do we need
signage from?
any,
We do have a company.
I might
so
email
say
you and
What it is,
see if
we have
we
a
need, like, a
little.
liability
We
thing.
order right.
Like,
Play-
look at
it's,
it,
um,
look
play
at
at your
their
own risk
website
park,
to see
'cause
what
it's
they
an
have
open
for
space.
signage.
You'd have to ask you what the company is. Usually I would say something like that is probably custom. And we just had signs done for naming the river, with the name that the Indian tribe had and,
so I'll
show you. one
if
of
this
those.
gets approved, I'll send it to you and then you can tell me what company and we can get a quote for it.
Yeah, you tell us what the sign is. We can, that's
Get something fun.
just what do you want the sign and what color do you want on it? So.
Yeah,
I'll show you the one we had just done.
like some kind of fun little purple.
Is it like a sign to say what it is, or are there signs that?
So this
say-
is I guess, so I don't play disc golf. So this is all coming from a place of not very much knowledge, but so this was written up. So my husband and his brother-in-law, well, my brother-in-law, his brother, when he was in town last, they went out with his nets. He has like portable nets and they went and did a 9-course throwing the discs and trying to figure out these different paths.
Mhm.
And so in order for this, for people to know, like,
Permaline is the company, that's the ones we just did up that are gonna be going up along the river in
Oh.
strategic locations.
That's nice.
So if you just tell us what you want on it, we can get different sizes and the rest. So,
okay,
Well, there's also like a disc golf like sign company.
yeah, there might be if you want us to go through, if you
Yeah.
need customers, just let us
Great.
know what you need.
Yeah,
okay.
We'll get it
that's a
on.
nice sign.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Now look at all these this fun sign. You can see like the course. Oh wait, why isn't it making it bigger? It didn't open it. Anyway, it'll show you like the course too, which is kind
Yeah,
of cool.
that's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool.
You can put city and stuff.
I think that's good for people like me who don't know anything about disc golf.
Yeah.
It'll show you where to go.
So basically you start, so we don't have the, tees where you launch, where you throw from. So this kind of explains all of the rules
Mhm.
and then where you tee off from. So you have the basket is on pink with the location of the basket. They're all, if you go to the park, they're all staked with a flag.
Yeah, oh, okay. The pink is,
So I can
okay.
go down there and check it out and
Yeah.
walk the course.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
So he made it so that you would never be throwing your disc where anybody would be
Like
potentially playing. Like there's no discs that would potentially be going over the skate park, none going over where people would be playing soccer. so a lot of them like have like 2 throws, and you start here, and then the second one, you actually walk all around the skate park, and then you throw there and then there, and then it's kind of going around the pump station.
Did you get me one of those? You did. I don't remember where.
Oh, maybe I took yours. I did take yours.
Did. I was like, where?
So would there be signs at every basketball, or would this be one sign explaining everything?
I think this looks like, just looking at this, it looks like, you can get signs for each.
Yeah,
hole.
it can tell you
And it'll tell you where to
where
go
the
next.
next one is. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I like that idea.
Yeah,
'Cause
and then there's also one you can get for the rules, so you can get like a framed rules sign. That tells
Yeah, and you can also just do arrows too. Like, so the baskets actually came with arrows that say like next tee.
Oh, okay.
And then they have an arrow, but my husband thought that would be confusing since there's not actually a tee. You tee off from where the basket is.
Okay.
So, so there would have to be some explanation to that. So, yeah, you go basically around the park, and then there's a basket by the tree, and these are like short, they're called like short throws or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
So you're not like, they're very like controlled when they get closer to the playground. They're
More
not these
challenging.
like
Which is nice, which is, yeah.
long,
A little bit more
smart.
challenge, yeah.
throws. So it's got a lot of variety.
That's cool.
And you're really like utilizing the outskirts of the park that don't get utilized.
No, yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely.
And that's a big draw too, because like it's a big sport out in like out west,
Mhm.
California and the West Coast. So actually there's a kid on my son's baseball team, his brother is a pro disc golf player. And so I was gonna send these to him and say, hey, what do you think of our course that we're coming up with? But I think it'll draw a lot of people. I mean, it's just another recreational
It's
opportunity.
something to do.
Yeah, it's something to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
we need more stuff to do.
And I
that
think
was-
that even if it doesn't like draw a larger thing, I think that's the residents would really
I think
be
so.
into
I
it.
think it's great.
Definitely.
Because it isn't like, this isn't by any means like it's just like a fun one. It's not like a pro.
No,
one.
but
It was like,
it introduces people to
Yeah.
the sport. Yeah.
yeah, it's just, and then it would be fun for practicing. So,
And it didn't cost much.
No, it
cost
didn't,
much
which is
at all.
nice.
Yeah.
and so, yeah, I don't know if you guys want to read through this, or I don't know if it matters.
I quickly glanced at it, so I just I like the idea of having signs at the disc, but can you get them to, how close can you put them to the thing? Because wouldn't it get in the way of your throwing?
You can put them on.
Oh,
So I think that you would have the rules,
yeah,
this one
Like
on one
Yeah. So
at the
that's-
beginning.
gotcha,
70.
okay.
And then, they can also
Or
take a
55.
picture with their phone if there's
Yeah,
something, but the Mando, like it kind of explains what Mando means. And it would be marked on the hole. So holes 1, 2, and 9 contain Mando markers. You must throw your disc in the direction indicated by the Mando signs. So then there would be a marker indicating that. And so they could take a picture of this at the beginning.
yeah,
And then each basket has a number. So
Yeah.
anybody who has any familiarity would
would know what
know
to,
where one
Yeah.
was.
okay, I like this idea.
So just looking at these signs, I mean, what do we need? 9?
I mean, you might have to, if somebody was like, oh, there's a disc golf, and then they come over here and they're like, oh, 6, and then they have to walk all the way over there, but it's not that
fine.
hard.
That's like the first time they'll ever be on the course and then they'll
Mhm.
know it. But yeah, if you want, I can do a little research on how much the signage would be.
Yeah.
What do we need? We just need 9 hole signs and then the rules.
Yeah, take a look to see what that is, and then let's go through, the perma line and see what that would be. It might be nice to keep all the town signs.
I don't know. I think
Uniform.
I would honestly like something.
Yeah,
more
I
different.
think that would be fine.
I do like this.
I want something more colorful because there's so much traditional stuff in Stockbridge.
There
It's
is.
like a little color is what this town needs, youth and color.
So if we want to put a map, if we wanted to do an overall map, that would be great, but maybe we can try to figure out a way to combine these two so we don't have 2 different signs.
Well, yeah, because you can get the course, there's like dual signs. You can get like one on, this shows the whole course, and then this could be like the rules. See this one here?
Mhm.
2-panel framed combo color and rule sign.
Mhm.
So you can do one of those at the beginning and then just one at each hole.
And also, I just do remember that he just asked me if he thought if he ordered some signs he would get reimbursed. So I should just check to see what he already ordered.
Did he order some?
I'm gonna look. Oh, just arrows and numbers
I mean.
and a tape measure.
Oh, I have one of those. He could have just borrowed mine. I mean, I think we should have some nicer looking signs for the course. It'll just,
Yeah, I think that's
They don't
good.
blend in as much, the green on the green.
What do
The
you
one
mean?
that Mike showed, the green.
Oh, yeah, when-
And the green
Yeah.
grass and stuff, it might blend too much. I like the pop of color that these are.
Yeah.
yeah, because
I
they're
agree.
mostly green, but there's a little pop of color.
I like it.
Yeah,
Like this one, I like this one.
yeah.
Because we have the Kelly green on the basketball courts and then they did the Kelly green on the
Yeah,
walkway.
And the baskets are yellow, by the way.
Oh, cool.
So they are definitely not gonna blend in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What you
that's
need.
good. Yeah, you need to see the basket,
Yeah.
especially if you got bad eyes like me.
And then he ordered these red signs. So there's red arrow signs
For people.
for just directing to the next basket.
Yeah, that'll help too, because people sometimes don't know which direction to go in. All right, cool. Well, I will send you guys this website that I just found and, you know, which ones we can decide on and come up with a number, and then that's gonna come out of our budget.
Mhm.
Okay, so that leads us to the next budgetary item, which is what, the mural project? So I have been having a hard time reaching, getting someone from Railroad Youth Street Project, Railroad Street Youth Project, to get back in touch with me or to schedule a meeting, although I'm gonna be going to their next meeting on next Tuesday. So basically, the idea is, I've talked to Sherry White, the tribal, she's the contact person for the tribal council. And they're totally into the idea of doing the mural. They would like to have, they want to do an art contest within the tribe, so they would advertise it as an art contest, and like the prize would be a certain amount of money to try to encourage people to do it, but also to support, you know, tribal art. So I think that's an important thing. So part of the budget would be for the art contest itself. And then I was hoping to have the budget is sort of like a roundabout estimated budget for the actual project today, but I have been emailing back and forth with this woman named Dom from Railroad Street Youth Project, because they did the W.E. Du Bois murals in Great Barrington. They did a wonderful job on those. And of course, it's, you know, it's a nonprofit. So I think what they explained to me is that the youth involved in their programs are the ones that did it. And they didn't really have a set budget they were working from. So she was gonna do it, Dawn was gonna do some digging and try to figure out, well, how much money did they spend on the project? But I guess they weren't very good at keeping track of things. So I wasn't able to get an idea of like how much they spent yet. She's still working on it, but hopefully next week I'll get some more answers as to, well, how much did they end up paying for the supplies and stuff.
Would we be hiring somebody to paint whatever art is selected from the contest? Would we then be hiring an artist to paint that on the wall?
Well, that would be the Railroad Street Youth Project. They're the ones that would be the ones implementing it because they're, you know, they're close by. I mean, obviously, I wish if we had, you know, never ending budget, it'd be great to actually, you know, maybe fly the artist out here and do it. But I mean, I'm not assuming the artist that is going to do the, you know, the artwork that's chosen may not have experience doing murals. It's like a totally different animal. But since Railroad Street Youth Project has done murals before and they have experience doing that, then I was going to see if they would be interested in taking this on as a project. Now, I don't know if we would have to pay them. I would assume maybe yes, to some degree, because it would, you know, the money would go towards the nonprofit. So when I meet with them next Tuesday, I can get a sense, I'm gonna try to get a sense of like, how much would it cost to pay them to do the project? And then what would be the amount of like for materials that would be realistic for doing it? So once I get those numbers, that would be helpful. But, you know, I mean, ballparking it, like, I know I did art, I went to art school and I used to paint houses for a living. back in my twenties. So, I mean, the cost of paint has gone up since then. So this may be a totally off base number, but I would like to personally keep the project. Like in terms of materials cost, I think 2,000 would be a reasonable amount. It's not that big of a wall. It's probably gonna be less than that, but if I'm shooting high, I think $2,000 for the materials itself is probably a reasonable amount, for the size of the wall. And I think, I'd like to give, a generous, amount for the artwork. Like, it's like if you were to buy a painting, at an art show, usually you're talking anywhere between $250 and $500 for a painting. And that could really potentially help the artist who may be struggling to pay the bills, somebody who's in the tribes. Of course, they're not, everybody's struggling now, but, I think that it wouldn't be money wasted. So if I were to say 500 for the contest, or even if it's 250 or 300, something, in that ballpark, 300 to 500. And then in terms of like how much it's gonna cost to implement it, for them to do it, I don't know. I have no idea what they would cost. If anything, it could be, it could be just like a project that they do. I don't know.
So I would like to be able to vote on this, but I feel like we actually need numbers.
Yeah.
So I feel like the next time we put this on the agenda, let's actually like have the actual, like, this is what it's gonna cost from Railroad Street, and then this is what because 2,000 for materials of paint, that seems really high for me. I think that, and if that's lower, if those numbers come in lower, then I think, maybe we could even up the reward
Yeah.
for the contest or something, but we really need to see some
Have you,
actual.
Yeah, and I haven't painted a mural, so I was really hoping to get that info from them as to how, excuse me, much they spent on because the W.E. Du Bois, excuse me.
And maybe we just
That's
give
much
them,
bigger.
maybe they just give us like a number that's gonna include labor and materials, and they can just quote us
Yeah,
for the mural, and then we don't have to vote on materials, and we don't have to figure out the
yeah,
materials.
that would be
Maybe they'll just-
ideal.
have
Yeah,
you tried applying for grants for this? Because I'm having a little, I know it's on the mural, it would be on the wall in the park. I'm just having trouble connecting the pieces, how this would be a Parks and Rec budgetary line item. And I get that it's in one of the playground spaces that we manage. But I think there's MA cultural grants that sponsor.
I could look into that too.
That's a great one to look into, and they can probably,
And
with
even,
grants, they might be give more money than I'm willing to.
Cultural Council?
Yeah, the Massachusetts Cultural Council, and their grant deadlines are in October.
and
Oh.
even a CPC.
A CPC would
Would
be,
do it.
I'm just having, and I know it's the play wall in the park, but I don't,
They would still grant Parks and Rec
yeah.
Oh,
money.
yeah.
We've applied for CPC
Oh,
grants
CPC is great
before.
because it's open space and,
How soon could they do it? Because I really don't want to have to wait.
I
till
think
next
you're
year.
on the CPC. I think you're the CPC's.
I don't get the
person.
emails anymore. I don't know.
I think that's probably coming up in spring.
Okay. Yeah, so I will reach out to the CPC person and see if,
But if you,
If we can get that.
if you can get a quote, an actual quote, and it's not a very crazy number,
yeah,
then we could maybe
yeah, we need.
figure out the budget for that. But if we need to look for funding.
maybe I can get money from different pools.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll work
Yeah.
on that. Yeah, I was thinking about that right before the meeting today, and I was like, I should find out if there's other grant money too before we
I
take it
think-
out of our budget.
I
But
think that's. a
Even
great-
those other grants are gonna want an estimate.
for
Yeah.
something like this, yeah, I think there's definitely a lot more money out there for this kind of thing. But yeah, I just haven't, I've been having enough trouble trying to nail down someone from Railroad Street Use Project to try to meet and just sit down and look at numbers. So hopefully by next Tuesday, I'll have a better idea of, what we'd be looking at. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
In the
I-
meantime, I'll reach out to you.
I would like to, vote on the first part of it, the reward, but I still think that we would need to have it all set up to make sure that it actually gets painted
Yeah.
because, and that they're willing to do it too,
Yeah.
because I would really not want to be in the position where we had this contest and we paid an artist to do this work. And it's like, now we have this obligation and then we can't find somebody to do a mural
Oh, no.
and,
Yeah.
or,
We wouldn't move forward with it until we got all the parts in
Yeah.
agreement and
Yeah.
even a contract or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't see that being a problem. They seem very interested in the idea. It's just,
And
again, it's,
Austin Rec is okay with it.
yep, talked to them already. They're totally all about it. They're really, excited about it.
Do you
So-
have, I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off, I'm sorry. Do you have a plan in like 5 years when it gets weathered and kids are playing with it, when it gets not pretty looking?
Well, I mean, whether I'm on the board or not, I would be certainly personally invested in the project and, I could apply for grants to, the same grants, even CPC funds at that
Mhm.
point and try to, if it needs to be updated.
Because I
So-
think, didn't they paint over some of the Great Barrington walls because they were weathered and faded and?
I don't know. They haven't mentioned that. I could certainly ask the railroad if they have had to update it at all, but
Mhm.
yeah, maintenance isn't an issue. It's, I'm sure the town would be, if they were to give CPC funds for it, which I don't see being a problem, they would they would be investing in too,
Yeah.
in the long term and probably wouldn't be that much.
And
I think if you routinely maintain things, as you start seeing things like having issues and you don't like neglect it, I
Mhm.
think it's a lot cheaper that way.
Because especially if kids are whacking balls against it, it's gonna.
It's on the other side. The tenant, like the playback wall is actually on the other side, so they shouldn't be whacking.
The
balls.
flat side, right?
The flat side is gonna be facing the street.
Yeah.
And that's the side that's gonna get painted, but the other side is the playback wall and that's not gonna get touched.
People, practice,
Never seen anyone doing it there.
I've seen it.
Yeah,
It's
well,
when
we'll have
people
to
don't
put up
have
a
a
sign
fire.
then. I mean, there should be, then if that's an issue, we'll put a sign up that this obviously is a mural. It's not part of the playback wall. If you want to be whacking balls against it, go on the other side, because that's what that's for. So I'm not gonna worry about things that I don't see being, I mean, I haven't seen anyone there and I drive by there almost every day. But yeah, if a sign's needed, if people are gonna be that, neglect or whatever, if they're gonna just be doing those things, then pretty obvious that it's a mural.
I think we should just be clear that like whoever wins the contest, we're really happy that it will hopefully be there for like, I don't know, 5 years and then we'll hopefully maintain it, or if it looks terrible, we'll paint over it. I mean, or maybe do a different contest or something. That could be
Yeah, I just think it would be a nice little legacy for our board to have, to do the mural. Like, I think put something out there, it says, care of Parks and Recs or, CPC and whoever else sponsors it, Mass Cultural Council. This is like a joint project and in that it would get maintained, or maybe we leave it up for 5 years and change it, Generally land acknowledgements tend to stay there for a good amount of time. But if you wanted to change it up, I think that it's up to you guys. I mean, it would be up to whoever's on the board at that time. So
it would be hard to paint over a land acknowledgement, that's for sure.
I know, that's what I mean. Most people don't want to paint over something like that, or they can update it and do the same exact idea 5 years from now, do another art contest with a different, different approved art contest.
Do you think this is something more in lines with like the cultural council rather than Parks and Rec?
No, because the actual area that I want to paint it on belongs to Parks and Recs and Regs, so they can, they can give us money for it, but it's part of our domain.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It's not anybody else's domain since it's technically part of the park.
Yeah.
Anyway, I will, we can put it on the agenda for next month. And hopefully I'll have more information and actual hard numbers for you. And hopefully I can get some money from the CPC by then. Things can happen kind of fast.
CPC, yeah.
I'll see when they're meeting next actually, and maybe I can go to the meeting and ask them, before next month.
Do we need a member to be on the board of the CPC? Oh, that's you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I would definitely go to that meeting.
Yeah, I just haven't gotten, like I said, I've been trying to just get some communication going back and forth, and it wasn't only until like yesterday that I got a response.
From CPC?
No, from Railroad Youth Project. I was just trying to get like budget numbers before today, and I guess they're really busy.
Yeah.
Anyway, that took care of that. Is there anything else?
That's it.
Oh, wait,
Is that it?
yeah, because we skipped ahead, so yeah, I guess we're good.
Yeah.
Very
Okay, well, call this meeting to a close.
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned.
I second.
Great.